This is still part of the first book of this book, the first part. Let's see. While I was in prison, I had to face racism by so-called white prison officers all the time. And we used to fight these officers and go to the hole for 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, or a year and a half too. But while I was in the hole, I would meditate a lot about myself, trying to solve my problems within my soul, the lower self and the higher self. And a lot of times my lower self will win. That's why I was in the hole or transferred to another prison. As I learned my lessons, I began to teach more science to other Moors, our lessons, because I learned them well. I was going to Temple 25 of the MSC Incorporated. I got my adapt teachings from adapt sheiks, divine ministers, etc., from members of the Moorish Science of America. This is very disappointing to me until I found out the members that are in prison wasn't a part of the MSTLA Incorporated. Once they get out of prison, they can join the temple. The beloved Holy Prophet Most Noble Jew Ali never had this kind of system in place. This came at this time on earth. Another thing that I had studied was corporations and organizations. This started to be into deep, in-depth investigations into the corporate side of the MSCLA Incorporated. I found out that Brother C. Kerwin Bay, Supreme Grand Advisor and Moderator, was never a title created by the Prophet. I started to learn about the relationship between C. Kerwin Bay and the Prophet was good, but he was not the right-hand man of the Prophet. This is true. The real right-hand man of the Prophet, Brother Edward Millil, Supreme Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science of America. I have read court cases on the MSCLA in 1934. All the way up to 2000s. This was information that was very important for me to know. How struggle I had faith in Allah and His Holy Prophet Most Noble Jew Ali, or leaders of the Moorish grand bodies, should I follow? I should follow what Allah says in His true and divine Holy Prophet Most Noble Jew Ali say first and foremost. Another thing that the Prophet didn't have was mubtees. He had swift angels, which were his sheiks and sheikhs. I started finding facts about the second Moorish National Convention, October 15th to the 20th, 1925. How can the convention go without the supreme head of the MSTLA, the Holy Prophet's divine, Moorish Divine and National Movement? This was the grand body voted by the C. Kerwin Bay, Supreme Grand Advisor, and Brother Millil, Supreme Grand Sheikh of the MSCLA, in this Prophet's MSCLA. There was no voting system. All officials was appointed. So I asked, who created this other system? So I went to the yard and started asking questions about the Moorish documents I got from other Moors, from other grand bodies. And when Moorish officials would come into the prisons, sheiks, divine ministers, I would ask them about these Moorish documents and give them copies too. This is the second part of my book. I got split like a top. And some said that isn't none of my business. But I made it my business. Then I wrote some books about Moorish science and pamphlets about the same subject matter. My Moorish brothers will give Moorish Americans names and addresses, and I'll write them, and some got back at me, and others didn't. But all that because I wanted some divine wisdom from the Dap Chambers of the MSCLA from the Prophets of that books, his Quran questionnaire for Moorish children, which was 102 instead of 101. I learned a lot by reading and studying these core documents because they opened my eyes to a lot of falsehood that I've been told concerning the history of the MSCLA. So I was writing Moors across the country and was getting information from them. They were giving me, and I studied this information. And I studied the words of the Holy Prophet Ali. And I applied these lessons to my life. And I lived my life to the best of my ability. I still struggle with my lower self, the carnal self, the body desires, is the reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky eases of the flesh. Stealing, robbing, fighting, all the time on the yard or in the blocks, in the bathroom, it goes down in all kinds of things. I was in and out of the hole for many years in prison, going from level 3 to level 5. I was getting out of prison doing the same damn thing. Once I became free, I did some things straight, stayed in trouble with the law, in and out of jail and prison from 1981 to 1990. Then I went back to prison for 3 more years. I got out in 93 to 95. I was free on the run for parole violations. Then I went back to prison for some nonsense. I went to Temple 25 with MSCLA before I got locked up again and did 2 years and 6 months. I started to dig deep within the rocky soil of my heart. I started to believe in the Holy Prophet Ali and Allah. I started to think the right ways of life. I learned a lot of lessons, some good and some bad. I started to see my life pass me by. I started to pray more and live the 5 highest principles known to men: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I started to get my affairs in order. I started to really think about my life as I sat in prison. I'm getting older in age, and I apply this divine principles into my life. The tongue of the seer is rooted in heart. Hypocrisy and deceit have no place in his words. He blesses their falsehood and is bounded. But in speaking the truth, he has a steady eye. He supports the man the dignity of his character. The arts of hypocrisy he scoured to school. When I got real about my faith and started walking on this Islamic mystic path of moral science, I became a part of every part of my being. I started to change my life for the best. This was in 2007. I got caught up again, and I stayed out for 3 months. Back to the prison was 28 months. I got out in 2019 and been out and got off parole in 3/19/2022, and I'm doing all right and still struggling to get on my feet. Only thing I have to study is my Moorish Holy Quran and MSCLA, but I have many other Islamic books to study as well. Holy Quran chapter 7, verse 25 to 31. Lamus, an old Grand Master asked, "Pray, what is faith?" And Jesus said, "Faith is the surety of the omnipotence of Allah and man, the certainty that man will reach the every life. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Believers first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is the truth. Faith is next, and this is what man knows is the truth. And fruition is last, and this is man himself the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition faith is lost. Man is saved when he has reached the every life, where he and Allah are one. What is a part of himself, and how truly great he is. As I struggle with homeless, from November 19, 2019, I got my apartment. On September 18, 2021. And I got this to another apartment. I have been working on my writing and striving to understand Moorish mystic Sufism, Moorish mystic Sufism. This system deals with the level of consciousness of the self. Sufis always talk about the selves, the higher self and the lower self. It's within the soul or mind of human beings. This talk, how we communicate to each other as people in the world. A lot of people in the world say Muslims don't believe in Jesus. We have faith in all the prophets of Allah. I'm striving to be the best man ever that I can be. Because as a Moorish American mystic Sufi Muslim, I can see with the third eye, the all-seeing eye, that sees all, knows all. It's my Father God, Allah. I truly understand the many levels of Sufism and their degrees to master one's lifetime. It's just like the Moorish noble mystic Sufi, the noble mystic Sufis of Moorish science. I am a part of a whole lot of mystic orders and brotherhoods all over the world. Some say the Islamic mystic order of Sufism came from the Freemasons. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm traveling down this Moorish noble order of mystic Sufism with more science. This science takes me into the rules, to the veils and planes of life, because souls want to play with it. The lower self and the higher self is within the soul, and the struggle to see one's wins, which one wins. And this mystic Islamic science of Sufism, it deals with the person's level of consciousness to raise the spiritual forces in man and woman. In the Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 1, when it talks about spirit man, this talks about man and woman being the strength of Allah made manifest. The whole program of the age was set up in heaven and earth, which all can see. The Holy Prophet most noble duly followed after Allah because he breathed forth and stood 7 spirits before his face. Then his true noble son came to manifest. Born on January 1886, Timothy Drew. In later years, his name changed to Prophet most noble Drew Ali in 1925. He founded the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Let me stop and get back to this topic at hand, which form a spiritual understanding of how the heaven on earth is going to come about for all to see. The all-seeing eye, just like Allah's breathed forth and stood 7 spirits before his face. Now his divine son, the Holy Prophet most noble Drew Ali, breathed forth and stood 7 sheiks before his face. These 7 seats became the board of executive rulers of the MSCLA. They were the supreme heads of the supreme grand body and the grand body, which oversees the Adaptation's third heaven. The degrees of the officials of the MSCLA, these are their level and ranks. Adapt 1, 2 sheep, 3 divine minister, 4 governor, 5 supreme grand governor, 6 supreme grand sheep, supreme grand chairman, supreme grand secretary, supreme grand treasurer, supreme intelligence services. The Moorish Sufi order, highly spiritual, dealing mainly with the self. This is because there's a mystical power and force. Power, it is manifested. Man has 2 sides to it. Holy Credit, MSCLA, chapter 7, verse 15. It is the result of force. Higher self is Allah, and their man and woman, and the lower self, the Satan, and the human beings. These and two struggle selves will fight against each other. The higher self wants to get back to God Allah, and the lower self wants to stay on earth. And what controls these 2 selves is the will. And what controls these 2 selves is the will. The will gives us the power to choose right or wrong. Because the MSCLA chapter 3, the lower self is a reflection of the higher self. See, the higher self and the lower self looks just like each other. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent. And power is their will to manifest, directed by the breath. Now let us get into the understanding of a will to determine the outcome of a matter. Now I begin to have a good view of how life becomes true to the Islamic faith and how I live. My life striving to get myself together on the spiritual path, because it's very enlightening of my mind so I can see with my all-seeing eye. I'm starting to unfold these great lessons of Moorish science to myself and other people. In third heaven, the Logos is there. All the dapps, sheiks, and divine ministers I call Logoses. The Word made flesh. Don't forget what I said about how Allah's holy prophet, most noble Ali, was going to create Moorish America's heaven on earth. We are teaching our nation the Moorish American prayer, our Quran questionnaire for Moorish children, Moorish literature, Holy Quran, MSCLA, humanity book, divine constitutional bylaws of the MSCLA, Holy Quran, the Mecca, the Holy Bible. You have our dot lessons too. And these great mystic teachings, it talks about the ancient land of Mu. This is where it all began. This very, very ancient mystic teachings down to us by our forefathers and mothers. We are to honor them all our lives because they were the first people on this earth. The Moorish Americans have the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nations, chapter 25. This is what all Moorish Americans live and die for. Ye are the children of one father, provided for our care, and the breast of one mother giving you care. Now, excuse me, let me go back, start this over again. This is what all Moorish Americans live and die for. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you such. And let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with our brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bonded you to love and unity, and putting out a stranger for thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his cares be continued to you all in your love to each other. This covenant is one of the most important documents in the Moorish science of America. It covers our whole life, the way we believe, the way our race is, the way we look at things, the way we value things. Everything draws from this holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. We protect our Moorish nation we protect our Moorish denomination, being informed about our events, the cookouts, travels throughout the United States of America. Doing divine missionary work on the highways and the byways with the divine truth as taught by the great God Allah by his divine and holy Son, the Holy Prophet Most Noble Jew from the Holy Quran and Moorish Science of America, chapter 45, instructions 1 and 7. The divine origin of the Asiatic nation. The sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation in North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know their higher self and lower self. This is united of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instruction of all Moorish American children. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nation. The Moors, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. The Egyptians, who were the Hammatites and direct descendants of Maryam. The Arabians, the seed of Hagar, the Japanese and Chinese. The Hindus and Indian descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites from the land of Canaan. The Asiatic nation and countries in North, South, and Central America. The Moorish Americans and Mexicans in North America. Brazilians, Argentinians, Chile in South America. Colombians, Nicaraguans, and the natives of San Salvador. In Central America, etc. All of these is Muslims. The Turks are the descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the United of Islam, by the command of the great universal God Allah. We have to reconnect into our power force of our forefathers and mothers so we can get this same power of the mind and become powerful again as the Asiatic Moorish nation, as the Asiatic Moorish American nation, the people of North America. But as we Moors have to come together in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, with unity and love. We are not separated, never have been, never will be. We are one, just as we were created to be. No God without us. And no without God, and no without God, no us without God. I am not empty, I am full. I am not incomplete. I have always been, I will always be whole. When something or someone somewhere is right to the state of absolute perfection, you can sense it. Can let something, anyone, or anywhere feel. 777 90 chat, tick you. And bring you down. And I'm at all. Your destiny, your faith, your karma is yours. Belongs only to you. Earn it. Never underestimate your power, your value, your 221 worth, 100%. Goodness, 142 resolution. It I real. The Moorish Islamic Empire, you talk about how already been built and created, trust and belief, know your energy moves, intentions, etc. Affects your final product and it affects your roots. Matter of determination where you go. If a person applies these great principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, their lives will become better citizens of the world. I have created a program that helps people in trouble with the law, a criminal justice system, and it is called the Moorish Islamic Council of Prison Affairs. It was founded on the concept of uplifting the fall of humanity. I'm tired right now. Let me stop.